Hello, Deep Mindfulness Collective. This right here, right now, is the joy of being a live stream coming to you live from Brooklyn, New York. And if you're watching this anywhere but twitch.tv/deepmindfulness, welcome. We're over here with the chat, and it's lovely to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. I am very glad that you are here with us. Turning some settings off. Yes, folks. We are very happy you are here. Tomlin, welcome. I like including my spelling mistakes. Welcome, everybody. That is welcome in Russian. Nice to see you all. And we have a very special visitor here. We have our very good friend Raquel Shapiro is in the house. See, I told Raquel that I just wanted her to bring the puppy to me, but instead I'm tricking her into coming onto the stream.
So tricked. I feel so tricked.
Yeah, Raquel's been tricked. Lovely to have you here, folks. I'm trying to convince Raquel to be on the stream,
got something to say.
but she's doing PhD stuff. You know, random PhD stuff today. But I'll tell you what, let's get this doggy in here too. So I want to let everyone know, if you don't already, that Raquel yesterday successfully defended her PhD proposal. Dissertation proposal. So it's the first stage, and now you're actually working on your PhD.
My dissertation.
Your dissertation. I don't know.
The PhD is the whole thing.
I know.
The dissertation is the end.
I'm confused. I got buttons to push. I'm confused. So anyway, I just wanted to say congrats.
Thank you.
You did it. That's amazing. P.S. If people don't know, hello puppy. If people don't know, the dog likes to smell my nose. She likes to put her nose in my nose and smell my nose.
Every now and then a little tongue
my God.
goes up the nose too.
I don't know what's up with my... But so the big deal is that Raquel was supposed to take a year and 2 months to do this exact process to get to where she was now. And because of some weird thing, someone said, well, could you do it in 2 months? And she's like, oh my God. And she did. So she just saved a year of schooling because of her incredible work ethic. And now, because of that hard work and because of all of that, she's actually, her PhD is 2 years? The dissertation is going to take a year, 2 years to finish? Year and a half?
Year and a half-ish.
Year and a half.
Yeah.
Because of her hard work and discipline, etc., she's going to be doing that in 2 months. So she's going to finish all of that work in 2 months, which is amazing. It's not true. Okay, what were you going to say?
I was going to say I really feel like what enabled me to do it was, yes, part like just being willing to work hard and put hours in, but so much of it was actually meditation practice and learning to use Shinzen's spontaneity quadrant of doing auto-write, auto-think, like really just letting the system produce the work made it so much easier and takes so much less energy, and really made me see how much energy we often burn in like thinking we have to use might rather than just like letting the spontaneity of the mind manifest and do its thing.
And so. I can't tell if Raquel's just at a place where she can just write, just like she's so good at writing that it just comes to you naturally, or if it's actually like, you know, what degree to which it's a balance of the two. Because I feel like you are at a place now where it's like you're like a jazz musician with writing, where you're like, I'll just write and see what happens. But I think it is also true. Really, like, we use so much unnecessary energy fighting and pushing to get things done when, you know, this is proof. In 2 months she got done. And, you know, you weren't like, you rested, you meditated, you did the retreat during that time.
I did. Mm-hmm.
She did the, you know, at-home residential retreat with Shinzen, and actually gave a talk too alongside me in that same time.
And I've been getting active in the election.
Yeah, getting active in the election. You've been doing a whole letter writing campaign, which if people want information on, please just let me know.
Vote Forward.
Vote Forward is the
org.
Is the org. It's handwritten letters to people who might not otherwise vote. So yeah, thanks for coming on. Mwah.
Love you.
Love you too.
Should I take the beep or leave the beep?
Well, I'm going to say hi for 1 sec.
Okay.
No, you can take her, but hello. Hey, will she make her old man noises? See, let's make the old man noises. No, she's not making them. Okay, bye. Oh, wait, before we go. I gave her a haircut. I don't know if you can tell, but we've given her this haircut. I've never given her this haircut before because I've never known how to do it, but hopefully, do you think she looks cute? She cut her arms and cut her head and all that stuff. Anyway.
Just the fur.
Just the fur. Yeah, we didn't cut her arms and head. They're much shorter than before. So, yeah. Okay, folks, what do we got here in the stream here? Welcome, folks, as you're drifting in. Emily King, welcome. Nick, welcome. Nick says, congrats on the 3 digital dissertation, this 3-week digital dissertation, exactly. Tom Lynn says, congrats. Rory, congrats, exactly. So everyone is very happy and congratulatory, babe.
Well,
so
thank you.
she says, thank you.
And that we'd love to have them participate too.
Oh yeah, P.S. She's doing a meditation study using in the multiple self model, as we've been calling it, or internal family systems, and it's an 8-week course. It's going to be free. And it's going to be our best material on that subject that we have. And we'd love if you participate because it'll have an effect and you'll be a part of a study that could bring this material to lots of people all over the world. So what's next is we're going to meditate, folks. This is the exciting part. We're going to meditate today. So finding a nice comfortable position. Before we do, I realize, let me know where folks are coming from. It's Freaky Friday, so let me know what's happening. I almost said from Rhode Island. That's weird. That's some, like, psychological stuff right there. Yes, Nick, we actually are going to meditate today. Thank you for checking in. Today is actually one of our special meditation days. Hello, Saivash from Tehran. Lovely to see you here. Excellent, excellent. I'm supposed to scooch over so that the words aren't on my face. Also from Brooklyn, what's up? JG, who is this? JG, you don't have much energy for meditation, but enjoy the company. Well, listen, if anyone's feeling low energy or sort of wiped out or anything like that, just feel free to, we can make an adjustment. You can stand, you can walk while practicing. Any of these things are perfectly valid. And yeah, excellente. So, anyone else, let us know where you're coming from. Oh, it's Jean. Oh, excellent. Welcome, Jean. Great to see you here. Little Liner, Rachel here from Toronto. Welcome, Rachel. So nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. And I'm curious from folks, I saw this on someone else's Twitch channel, and I haven't seen it here. There's a points thing where you can actually get points for participating. I don't know if that's showing up. I have no idea if that's the case. I'll just remind folks, if you want updates on when we go live, make sure to hit follow. If you want to updates, if you're on YouTube, hit subscribe, and we will go from there. We're going to be doing a special live stream this Sunday at X o'clock. I think it's it's on my calendarino. We're going to be doing a special live stream, guided meditation, a short little fella, this Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to be doing that in collaboration with some friends over on Discord. And yes, we do have a Discord. If you want to join our Discord, that link will be dropped in by our very special support team in just a moment. Okay, folks, so find a nice, comfortable position. Can folks hear the drilling? I can't tell if you can hear it or not. But if you can, I don't know. Give me a shout if you can hear it. Let's see, folks. Okay, and if you're joining here from Facebook, I found out it's read only, so you can join us either on YouTube or on twitch.tv. So the drilling will be a nice little trigger practice. We're going to be continuing with a little bit of this multiple self model. And okay, so I'm gonna, so that you're it's not so loud for you, I'm gonna pipe up my volume so it's lower in the background, but I'll make sure not to yell because I realize I'm getting a little loud sometimes. Folks, here's the exciting part. This is where we get to meditate. So finding that nice comfortable position you can maintain for the duration of the sit. Let's see here. Just adjust this so it's not actually... What a small adjustment. Oh, we have a new timer. Man, I've never seen this before in my life. I'm making a new timer so it doesn't have to be all in the corner like it has been. Uh-oh. We got it. Oh no, this is it's only 4 seconds long. Watch it, it'll just revert. It's like 2 seconds long. So this will be the new format. Unfortunately, it's taken 20 hours to render a video that just does this. All it does is this. It's been 20 hours, so I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but it's still rendering. So I'm going to have to put the old system on, which is fine, which means I have to be in the corner. Okay, let's see here. Okay. So just 1 second, folks. I'm just setting up the timer correctly so that you can see the timer, etc. And oh, that's funny. Okay, I'll be over here in the corner. I'll show you what's happening. It's like I'm setting each part up piece by piece. It's like endless. Okay. Okay. Folks, finding that nice comfy position. And we'll go from there. Ready? Timer, please. Where's that sucker? Here we are. And we'll begin. Beginning by taking a few comfortable deep breaths and just feeling the body rise and fall. We'll begin by sweeping through the body to be sure we're not holding any undue tension. Starting at the top of the head, relax the brow, relax the muscles behind the eyes, letting this relaxation expand to the face, allowing the face to go smooth. Relaxing the back of the tongue and letting the jaw go slack. Relaxing the neck and the shoulders. The upper arms, elbows, forearms, wrists, and relaxing the hands. Letting go of any attempt to control the breath, just letting the body breathe as it will. Noticing the natural tightening and relaxing of the upper chest and upper back as the breath comes and goes. Relaxing the belly and the lower back. Relaxing the hips and the upper legs. The knees and calves. The ankles, and relaxing the feet. And tuning into relaxation throughout the entire body. not looking for any particular sensation. Rather, the task here is to gather the sensations in one large collection. We might lose some detail. Maybe one or two sensations are simply lost. But as best as we can, gathering a kind of general totality of all of the body sensations. If we're pulled into any one particular sensation, simply observing that sensation in the context of all of the rest of the sensations. Without collapsing down to these particular sensations, just allowing a bit of the breath to be known. It doesn't have to be the only thing we detect, but simply knowing some detail within these sensations. If awareness happens to expand out to include other breath sensations, other body sensations, sounds, anything whatsoever, that's fine. Just so long as we have this soft, open awareness and some attention on details of the breath. Noticing that if distraction is arising, it's typically because our attention, the center of the mind, the part of the mind that points to detail, will be pulled to this experience. So instead, letting these experiences, these sense data that we might call distraction, letting those simply appear within the peripheral material. Even if it nudges or jostles our field of awareness, that's fine. Letting awareness be a soft cloud that can absorb whatever comes in contact with it. Buffering and almost protecting the detail of the breath we're observing. Making the distraction the thing that supports and surrounds the detail of the breath in this case. So whatever's happening that is not the breath, letting that be the buffer, letting that be the soft surrounding awareness, not needing to fight it. It is that which stabilizes our ability to attend to the breath. Now we're going to make a slight transition, letting go of the sensations of the breath. We're going to begin to look for the aspects of our experience that have preference. It may not even be a fully formed conscious preference, but often the body will push away from sensations it doesn't like. The mind will resist or reach for sensations that aren't present or it wants more of. So for a moment, simply finding any part of our experience that wants this moment to be different. If this sensation had a magic wand, it would wave that wand to change this moment. And you may find that contact with this part of our experience can feel unpleasant, unsettled. Unsatisfying. Or even turbulent. Recognizing that this experience is natural. It's part of the nature of the human body-mind to push against, to reach out towards. And seeing if we can notice a difference between when it feels like, quote unquote, I don't want this to be occurring, versus, yes, the experience of craving or aversion is occurring in this human body mind now. In other words, identification with that craving or awareness of the occurrence of craving in general. Just getting used to these different experiences, even cultivating either one just to get used to the flavor. This is what being in the preference or existing in the preference feels like. Kind of rudimentary, unsatisfactory experience, reaching for something else, pushing something away. And the awareness that knows that this is currently occurring. Observing it as one sense experience, not the most important one, just something arising. Just attuning to the difference of these experiences, being and observing. Being this reaching, this pushing, or observing it occurring. We might even use these two labels. Being for when we're identified, and observing for when we're seeing it occur in the ordinary human body mind. Noticing if there's any internal preference for one or the other. Perhaps the mind is thinking that the awareness, the observing, is better, in which case this is a preference. This is likely an identification with wanting it to be different. That's not bad. It's nature. Simply labeling that as being or identifying. alternating and observing these different experiences. Identification and observation. And recognizing that the identification experience is simply the system, the body-mind, various aspects of our sense data expressing a need that it does not feel is being met. And that's okay, our needs are natural. Honing in on that need experience. And simply knowing it, letting the observing awareness kindly, compassionately hold this need. To know this need, to simply be aware of it, is to fulfill it. One part simply wants to be known. To have its desire met. And so we're cultivating the part of the mind that can simply meet the experience. Ah, yes, I see you. So we can use our labels of observing or identifying. Or if these feel cumbersome, we can simply watch the process unfold. And staying with the practice, staying in stillness. We'll be ending the formal practice when the bell goes silent. And as a way of learning how to integrate this practice into our lives, we're going to allow a tiny bit of light to enter the eyelids. Eventually allowing the eyes to rest on a single point as they fully open. Again, assessing, is the system identifying? Is it observing? And whatever that is, recognizing that it's nature. And letting this moment here with our eyes open. Letting this be the great teacher that shows us how to bring this practice into our daily lives. Okay, folks. What was that experience like? What happened and what are you like now? And as Tomlin is mentioning here, we have a Discord community, a place where we can chat about our practice even when we're offline. I like to say that it's like Facebook, except not awful. You don't have your high school, random person in there telling you who you should vote for. So what was that like? What happened and what do you like now? So I have here my matcha. So something I could do if I wanted to was to use the matcha rinds, the sort of residue at the bottom, pour that out and divine what that meditation was like. But I tell you what, an easier way is if you just tell me. Yeah, what was that like? What happened and what are you like now? One of the things I like to consider a lot of the time is, how is this current situation the best case scenario? And I was considering that a little bit while we were guiding, and there was this drilling, rah, 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 drilling. And I noticed the system fighting back, just pushing against, especially because, I'm presenting this, I'm putting this on right now, this live stream. So I want it to be perfect, distraction-free. Distraction-free. But it's, not always, that's not always the case. So what could I do? And so I put a stronger emphasis on, just if distraction's occurring, to notice what that's like, what that part of us that wants that to be different is like. And yeah, it seems pretty, it was pretty effective for me. What was that like for you? Was it totally distracted, totally sleepy, fun, interesting? Anything?
UPS was downstairs, but I missed it.
Oh, they were downstairs?
Yeah.
They came, I paid for a pickup, and it's right by the door. Is the package still there?
Yes.
Oh, it's annoying. Anyway, That's who was buzzing the buzzer when we came in, was UPS. Okay, 1 second, actually. Anyway, excuse me, UPS. I'm trying to send what is it called? Send a milk frother to a friendly spiritual guide that I met. What the heck? Little liner says, I feel calmer with more with myself. I saw myself try to be aversive towards a new state, a feeling quite negative previously. I saw through it as it was superficial. The more I watched it, you know what's so interesting is this thing of like identifying with things, like pushing them away. Once we start observing them, they're so like small spatially, like they take up so little space. It's just this like sense of some clinging somewhere in the body. It's not even like a massive feeling in the chest that's, it's like often just subtle clinging, but it can feel so outsized that it's just like, oh, I hate this thing, or like a totally aversive to X, like the drilling, like totally don't want it. And then when we observe it, it's often just so subtle. It's just this like, candlelight strength thing, and then there's the sunlight of consciousness. It's like, bearing down, that just, or bearing, not down, bearing in every direction, and makes it easier sometimes. So thank you for that little liner. Wait, JGBKNYC, you told me earlier that this is Jean. Okay, Jean. I'm trying to like reprogram my mind to read that word as Jean. I also feel calmer now. Once I accepted the drilling, it just felt like part of it, and was almost hypnotic. Yeah, what was very lucky about the drilling is that there was a degree to which it was kind of continuous. It was like versus like something just like and then fully goes away. Something like that's really jarring. That's really like unique or very different, and then just sort of disappears. It's harder for us to get used to what its experience is. So it's more, we could actually, like, the vibratory quality of it could actually be, opened up to in that way. What's interesting is when I do these guided meditations, it's always a question, because with, audio, what is it called? Technology these days, I can have all the drilling removed in the recording. I just have it completely removed, which is like crazy that we're there now, audio wise. My audio guy might be listening in and he's like, oh, Jesus, don't tell people that. But it's funny because for some of these, I wanted the drill to be there for some of the recordings. And I would go back and say, it's sort of over, it's too removed. I can't hear anything. So maybe keep it 50%. And then I kept like going back. And finally I was just like, just leave it 100%. Like I actually want it to be there. So sometimes I can take it out. Sometimes I choose not to. So it's always a question of, should I take it out? Will people listening to this not be distracted enough for this to work? What else came up for folks? What happened? What on earth are you like now? It is Freaky Friday. So as you folks are coming up with what might be fun to why I want this to show me what I wanted to show me. Coming up with your reports or questions, a couple things. One is, let's put this Zoom in the chat. Oh, very interesting. I just want to copy the link. Oh, there we go. Copy invitation. Jeez Louise. Okay, it's going to copy the giant thing. Okay, chatbot. So many programs. Okay, I'm going to put this in the... This is how to... Oh my God, it's like 1,000 things. Okay, that's how to get onto the Zoom if the Zoom is of interest. And we'll see. So if you want to jump on the Zoom, feel free to do so, and we can chat. I can hear about your experience, and we can have your voice on the stream itself. Still waiting for some jerk to get on there and what's it called? Cannot start. Oh, video camera can't start. Okay, so the meeting is on. I will be invisible to you, but I will be able to see you. Yes, indeedy. If people want to jump on, we can hear your voice and you can ask questions or give reports. If not, no big deal. No big deal at all. A little liner. My partner shared an analogy. Oh, I'm excited about this. The negative states, where they deepen is always a small point. It's like watching a small television. By noticing the periphery, we open up. And it's almost funny to realize how small those things are. Yeah, I mean, it's true. And I want to like acknowledge it's true. It just reminds me also that some people are having experiences that are like crazy intense. So I do want to, mention that it doesn't always feel like that. And that's not always the experience. And that's true. And sometimes we wonder how could I then manage, let's see here. All these showed up. Usually it doesn't show up on the screen if I put an exclamation point first. I know why that's happening. Okay, this is a new setup. So reminder, I hope my tech support folks are listening. They're supposed to be on all the time. Just a reminder to fix that so that exclamation point things don't show up. Okay, so the point of it all is that beep, boop, boop, beep. Yeah, and if we want to actually get it so that when we're in super big pain or we're, really overwhelmed, we can not be overwhelmed by those things, and they can function the same way as these minor distractions, like an annoying noise. It's getting the system so used to doing that over and over and over and over again that it can actually train itself to function at a larger level. We're sort of expanding that skill and expanding the skill. And that's why I don't always encourage people to jump right into like, I'm going to meditate with extreme pain. It's like, that might be a little bit much to begin with. Maybe you want to start off with an annoying drill sound, that kind of thing. Okay. Oh, we have ourselves a visitor here. It looks like Chris is on the line with us. Let me make sure that the audio is on. Chris, will you say hello? I hear you, but it looks like it doesn't seem like it's showing up in the monitor. Oh, yeah. Wait, no, that's me. Try one more time. Oh, here it is. Go ahead.
Okay, Janusz, if you can hear me okay.
I hear you perfectly.
I wanted to know, I did that practice just then, and I've been listening to a couple of your other foundational meditations that you were offering, and I wanted to know the role of sleepiness. I have a bit of an issue with buzz drills, etc., which were in the background there. I seem to have a habit where I live in Brazil and Australia, and wherever I live, there's a bit of a sort of silent mafia that follows me around. Someone across the road's got a buzzsaw, and that follows me from Australia to Brazil, and so when that sort of happened, there's a whole story that started happening in my head about the mafia that were chasing me with buzzsaws, and I wanted to, but I noticed somatically that I started to actually go into, I was feeling fairly equanimous, but I was wondering, I was getting a little bit sleepy or tired and that sort of stuff. And you mentioned in some of your other meditations, I think when you were talking to Daniel Ingram the other day, that tiredness was a form of sort of wanting to be there, dissociation. I wonder if you could say something about that sort of checking out through fizzling out response to, just attending to something.
Yeah. So I'm gathering that you're being a little facetious about the mob following you around.
Okay.
Just wanted to make sure. I didn't know if we were going to go.
I haven't been smoking anything or.
No. Well, no. Sometimes it's like someone will mention something like that, and you're like, oh yeah, that's probably a joke, and then you realize like you potentially are dealing with somebody who's having a really, really hard time chemically or something. So it's like you want to make sure you get the full spectrum. Okay, cool. So, well, sleepiness is a complex thing. What we were talking about on the interview with Daniel Ingram was the possibility that sometimes sleepiness can be an indication of disassociation. Disassociation is something that everyone's system does to varying degrees. And then people who are, you might say, I don't know if the term is disassociative, but who have that as a general tendency, it's one of the go-to things. It's one of those things where if they get overwhelmed, they just like zip out and they're just sort of not there and they're sort of, floating. And this is describing the extreme sort of thing. And it's like as though they're in a out-of-body experience. And this is usually often related to an experience of enough trauma that they were pushed into a place where that's how they sort of respond. And they tend to be sort of pullback types where it's like, no, this is overwhelming. And they just sort of disappear, ghost into the background. And then, it's overwhelming. And that's sort of the extreme edge. But the other edge of that is, the less extreme edge is where, and many of us have had this experience where maybe we're in an argument or something that's intense, or we're with family members and it's like, oh, this is so yucky and intense. And we're just like, I just want to take a nap. I'm just going to, this is too much. I just want to lay down. And that's actually much more common, something like that. But that is likely also disassociation. It's not bad. It's actually a protective kind of mechanism. The thing is, we don't want it to be happening if we don't want it to be there. If it's perfectly healthy and we're like, yep, I'm going to take a nap, that's fine. That's one thing. But if it's totally, inhibitive, we want to make sure that we are, careful to deconstruct that. So that's one thing, is to figure out, is it disassociation? One way to figure out if it's disassociation, I mentioned in the live stream, is a very simple one, which is you just take something and you practice hand-eye coordination. And usually at first, if it is disassociation, you'll notice that maybe you're worse than you usually are. Like, oh, it's harder to, like the first few times I just couldn't even catch that ball or whatever it is, the thing you're tossing up and catching. Oh, that's weird. And then after a little while, the system kind of lights up and you're like, yeah, I can do this. This is not a big deal. Well, what's happening is the disassociation is being overridden. I don't even know what the term is. Overridden by hand-eye coordination, which the brain will prioritize over that. So you can tell really quickly, okay, was that disassociation? Or P.S., the other whole side of this, which is important, we should acknowledge, etc., is, am I just sleepy? Right? That's significant. Am I just sleepy? Did I sleep enough? Another way to look at it is, sometimes this association is actually caused by tiring the mind out. We're like focusing and the mind can just get tired, but other times the mind can just get tired. So it's a little bit of a it's a tricky thing you want to navigate well. So one side is just that, the disassociation side. The other side is something different, which is just the whole range of sleepiness. And sleepiness, I tell this story sometimes. I was teaching at a corporation, and it was, all these people in there in their lunch break or whatever, and I was teaching, and I was guiding the meditation. I was like, yeah, I'm going to make people really relaxed. And I looked out in the meditation 7 minutes in, maybe 10 minutes in, and every single person, without exception, everyone in the entire room was fully asleep, like tongue out of their mouth, asleep. And I was like, okay, we're dealing with a cultural problem here. There is a problem with self-care at this company. And so the rest of the 8-week course that I was teaching was, well, not the rest, but the majority of it was about sleep hygiene. And they thought I was teaching mindfulness, and I'm talking about like, oh, make sure your phone goes off at a certain time, like all the regular sleep things. So we also want to be aware that we can deconstruct sleep. It's absolutely possible, but we also want to make sure that we are being certain not to deny ourselves something really necessary, which is our ability to sleep and how important that is. So that's one thing. The other thing is that Shinzen has an essay called From Fuzz to Buzz. If anyone's listening to this and wants to put that in the chat, the link for that'd be great. But it's a great essay on deconstructing the experience of sleepiness and turning looking at the different parts of sleepiness. And I could go into it, but it might take a little while. The one thing I want to add to that description is that often sleepiness is only located in a certain part of the body. So what I realized after a long time of practice is that my sleepiness is actually located sort of here. But it's such a funny and efficient way for the mind to tell me that I'm sleepy, because it says it's here. So from the eyes point of view, which is where space, the mind creates space, orients it, are all around the eyes, it seems like it's everywhere because it's just right here. And so I just noticed, oh, look, there's sleepiness there. And just the knowing of that actually is a much more awake experience. The knowing is bright. It knows it very clearly. And so I stick with that knowing rather than sort of falling into the gravitational well of that sleepiness. It fits with today's practice precisely because there's a part of the system that wants something to be different, pushing in some way. In this case, it's pushing towards more relaxation or more unconsciousness. And then there's a part of the system that can know that that's occurring. And that knowing is bright and doesn't actually need anything to be different. So that's, that relates to what we're doing today. So hopefully hopefully that helps clarify a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. What you're really saying is increase the sense of, try to turn up the dial on vividness, and that might get me through that sleepiness period sometimes in meditation,
Exactly.
as opposed to, staying with the object.
Yeah,
Go for
exactly.
vividness on the object rather the object.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing I would mention, though, is that I often will emphasize a lot. I'll emphasize to really monitor the level of doing. Check out how much am I doing here and how much do I need to do? Because sometimes we need to do a bunch to get ourselves to stay awake. But there can be a point where the doing itself is actually tiring the mind out. So practice a little bit with a real non-doing practice, not one where you notice intentions and get rid of intentions or that kind of thing. One where you're really like, you have good posture. You don't try to meditate. You don't try to concentrate. You don't try to notice. You don't try to anything. You just see what it's like to not do. See how little you actually have to do. And then remember that meditation is, you just want just enough doing. And it's often the overdoing that can be exhausting. The mind, like looking,
Right.
is it really precise? Is it really, have I balanced attention and awareness? Have I found vividness perfectly? It's like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Uh-huh.
All we need to do is know the experience. Notice that, the experience is vivid. Oh, that's all I need to do. I don't need to intervene. And the system often intervenes far more than it needs to. So just watch out for that as well.
Thank you. That's wonderful advice. I'll give that a shot and let you know.
Awesome. Thanks. I can't wait to hear about it.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for that, mate. Bye-bye.
Okay. Again, the line is open. Thank you so much, Chris, for jumping on. It's great to hear you. Let's see. We have some chats popping up here. Let's see. Nick says, we have Nick above says, having lots of crazy, intense, negative feelings regarding my cat and girlfriend being in the hospital. Oh my God, I'm so sorry to hear that. No idea how to handle it. Well, first I just want to say, like, when we have experiences like that, it's important to recognize that they're real. Sometimes I feel like we can say, like, well, why can't my meditation techniques, why can't they get rid of that? Or why can't, and just to recognize, like, anyone would feel overwhelmed with this. That's a difficult experience. So just to recognize that, I feel like I should be stoic. I hadn't even read that part. I should be stoic. I should stoic it out. Ingram said that sometimes a skillful approach is just to watch cat videos. How do I know when to back off? Great question. And not traumatize myself by not distracting myself. So this is kind of a lifelong process. So if it doesn't feel very intuitive right now, just know that that's normal. Like, well, how do I do it? This is a brand new situation. It's a brand new sort of structure. I'm not sure. And so there's a variety of ways to approach it. One sort of shorthand way that I like to approach it personally is to approach it from the perspective of, what might someone else need? If I were looking at another human being and they were overwhelmed in the situation, what might they need? And it gives me a little bit of remove from, like, what should I do? Because the should is always another self or another sort of desire set. It's a way to indicate, okay, there's some desire set that's not terribly helpful here. And that looking for that, that shouldn't. How might I help someone else? If someone else were in this situation, at this point, looking at their sort of energy level, what's happening, what I suggest, hey, maybe take a nap. Maybe find out the information that you can, sit with that, and call a friend. That can be a helpful way to do it. But the reason I use that as an example is, as a teacher, and especially when you're guiding people one-on-one, the strongest position to take is that the person already actually knows. Our job is to work through ambivalence and get them to a place where they can be closer to what they innately know underneath all of this. So if we can start to trust that somewhere down there, I actually know what's needed at this moment, it's going to work better than any meditation rule or, specific guideline in some way. So that said, any guideline that I give you or someone else gives you, it can feel a little unsatisfying because it's like, yeah, I'll try this and it's going to work for some people and not for others, and for some people sometimes and not for other people other times. So know that you're going to be you have the wisdom to know what's needed at any given point. And that said, I'm happy to give advice, and just know that you might be like, oh, this is great advice. And you start doing it and you're like, no, this is wrong. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do something else. And the reason, if any of my sort of suggestions or advice is valid, it's because I've tried to apply that process to myself and then used it a bunch of times, and maybe it'll work. And right after that, you said, I guess you have to feel I guess you have to have a feel of it, I suppose. And then you mentioned learning to juggle in order to get hand-eye coordination. So bearing down and backing off is like, we want to, over time, start to recognize those as two sides of a coin. And, I'm in a time right now where like a lot of my practice is backing off. A lot of my practice is allowing, and not needing to like, I'm going to get in there and fix it and change it. Learning equanimity, effectively what we're doing today, right? We're just, okay, there it is. It's natural. It's not my enemy. It's not my best friend. It's not going to destroy me. It's okay. There it is. It's occurring. That's natural. That is a kind of backing off. So knowing the experience without needing it to be different is a kind of backing off. If we notice the system needs something to be different, well, that's fine. Of course it does. That's a natural experience. So that's a kind of backing off. So that's what I would generally say. Let me know if that answers the question or helps clarify it all. If it doesn't, or if it does, let me know, and then we can I can clarify a little more. Charlie says, how to choose between practices? Very good question, i.e. concentration or more open awareness practice. Both feel like they have momentum recently. I guess my question is, how do I choose what practice I'm going for? Okay, so it's a similar answer that, you're trying to become your own book so that the system can tell you which way you want to go. However, you can have a sense this is the way to go. This is definitely the way to go. And that you can just be sort of going down the wrong track for you. So this is why I emphasize the values. You need to know what is valuable to you, and you need to do a goddamn thing. What I suggest is that you know what's valuable to you. You balance those values in relationship to the other things that are valuable to you, and you make decisions based on that. So I'm going to put something in the chat here. I don't even think this is linked. That's deepmindfulness.io/tools. In that is a little form that we use with any new student, and it's our values card sort tool. It's also, you can probably find it on the internet. We have some instructions in there that are a little different. But basically, you go through, pick your top 10 values, and then you make decisions based around that. Because it's not just like which is better, concentration or open awareness. You want to decide based on where do you want to go. Because awakening is not one thing. Awakening, we could say, is a set of different things that align in different ways. But you could have an awakening that's very, very stoic and very like, I feel no emotions. And the thing is, maybe you want to have a vibrant, bouncy relationship with emotions. Well, a little problematic if you just train the mind to be extremely stoic all the time. Maybe you like adventure and like discovering things and this sort of stuff. And so should you train your system to like, I don't like to, any adventure. I don't like to discover. Well, that could be problematic. Maybe it's the other way around. Maybe you want that. And any value is valuable. So in making these decisions, it has to be personal to you. I could say this is the best or that's the best, but it really, really needs to be personal to you, typically, for it to be a durable tool. So let me know if that clarifies. And you're also asking in any given session. This is a little bit tough because I don't think everyone can have or afford a one-on-one guide, but because of that, we do a live stream and we want people to be able to come on and ask these exact kind of questions. So typically I could answer that more specifically. So if you really, in a way, it's like, this is how you hotwire the one-on-one work we do with people. I tell people who it's not affordable for them to do one-on-one work, I just tell them, like, you could hotwire it out of the live stream. Do the card sort exercise, come on here, jump on Zoom, and I'll answer a question about how I would shape practice for you in particular, which is what we do when we do the one-on-one work. Okay, Nick says, copying back to the next question, sometimes I feel a space around the emotion so it doesn't feel so raw. Don't know if that's something to do. Well, again, what I would ask, and this is, I want to read your next thing just in case it's, sorry, spaced out a bit during the past part of your answer, re-listening later. Got to go check on my girls. Okay, so if you're re-listening now, Nick, what I would ask, if you said, okay, sometimes I feel a space around the emotion so it doesn't feel so raw, is that something that I could do that would be helpful? Well, my response would be, it sounds like you're saying that makes it feel less raw. Is that something you want or would be helpful for you? And usually most people probably say, yeah, I do want it to be less raw. Okay, great. So let's get clear now. You have a tactic that works for you. And that tactic might work for many people, but in particular, you're noticing, hey, this space around the emotion actually makes it a little easier. Well, good. Now we're starting to find the innate things for you that you have a little bit of sort of tendency towards that would be worth cultivating, worth diving into. So that sounds like a great tactic. Veritable Vagabond says, wow, that's cool. I define awakening as waking up and getting out of the gravity of self. Excellent. Okay. And just remember that we want our definition and our drive in awakening to be dynamic, because the question that Raquel and I ask all the time, and this is so major, I say a lot of stuff on the stream, but I really want to get this across. What kind of life do you want after stream entry? To be very clear on that. That is going to drive so much of practice. It's this old joke that you experience stream entry, you come back from the monastery and your partner has left you and your taxes aren't paid. Well, what kind of life do you want after stream entry? Do you want one where you're being chased by the IRS and you're out of the relationship that you cared about? Is that the life you want? Because you could have that. You could shape your practice and what you're after. And, I got to get to the monastery for 6 months out of every year. And you could have that. And it's a matter of balancing values. One value is awakening, but maybe another value is your partnership, and you want to see, okay, for me, I think that if I weren't married, if I didn't love Raquel more than anything in the world, I would probably be spending 6 months out of every year at a monastery. That would be cool. However, it's kind of a bad idea for me in my relationship. So my path will be different. I have to choose different things. Is there a loss there? Yeah, absolutely. But there's also a loss if I go to the monastery. Everything creates a loss. Everything creates a gain. Most of it, what it creates is neutral effects. So hopefully that clarifies. I know that Raquel has some students coming up soon. I think I do too. Wait a minute. I better make sure. Watch. Okay. Calendar. Okay, here we go. So yes, I do. I have people coming up very soon. Okay, so folks, you know what was really, really fun is today. Hanging out with you. Lots of fun. Really appreciate it. So less than 72 hours from now, we're going to be back here, hanging out, having a good time, shooting the S word. I found out that if you swear, YouTube's smart enough to pick up swears, so I'm trying to watch out for my swears. So shooting the stuff. I can't believe I'm an adult and I can't say that. And just having a good time. Let's see here. Betty, is that Betty Banks? Betty and Banks says everything has two effects. Well, remember, from a Buddhist perspective, everything has every kind of effect. Everything has, sort of pleasant effects, unpleasant effects, but mostly the effects of anything is neutral. We actually want to that's a really important point, is that it's not just two effects. It's lots and lots and lots, mostly neutral effects. And we focus on the good, we focus on the bad, but it's often we forget, hey, wait, the saving a drowning child thing is the thing. It's well, of course that's good. It's yeah, but you just contributed to, overpopulation. What are you doing? What if that child's a bad person? It's well, people can get so obsessed thinking about the good side or thinking about the bad side or these things, but it's helpful to know most of the effects of helping and saving that person are neutral, right? The gravitational expenditure on the Earth didn't change at all. The effect of the amount of energy coming from the sun was not impacted in any way. Most people will not be affected by this person living or dying. Most of the effects of what we're doing and what we're experiencing are just very neutral, and that's a lot of the subtlety and the gray area that are important to have contact with. Of course, that means we still need ethics. We still need to be good people. And it's very helpful to know that we actually aren't, the whole world isn't right on our shoulders, and every decision we make is going to be, have some downsides. No matter how good it is, it's going to have some downsides. So it's degree of accepting. It's okay. So folks, last thing, Veritable Vagabond says, wow, that's nuanced. I want more friends and a lot of wisdom. Great. Well, that's something, there you go. I need to work with you all. That's very inspiring. That's something you can 100% work on. No problem. Lots of friends, lots of wisdom. Well, there's a limit. And you want to figure out what kind of relationships do you want? Do you want like lots of superficial relationships? Do you want 3 really strong relationships? Those kind of things. Okay, folks, I'm going to put on this end music, but I can still see, hear, and feel you. I can read the chat here. No, that's the timer. Here's the outro. Folks, so great to hear you. So great to be here with you. So happy we get to meet here 3 times a week. Remember, there's a special live stream happening this Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Guided meditation, fun times. It'll be a short one, probably an hour max. And, lovely to have you folks here. Please let me know if you have any questions on our Discord. I don't know if you can search us on Discord, because you can't really search Discord very easily. You need an invitation. But the invitation is in the chat. If you can scroll back, there's an invitation to Discord there. And what else? Folks, let me know in the Discord questions for streams, or just chit chat like kitty cats, and we look forward to seeing you soon. My wish for you today is simply to know that there are parts of you that are pushing and pulling, and that's okay. It's natural. And just knowing those parts nudges us and pushes us towards the experience of awareness. Lovely.